Larry and Jane Allison are rural entrepreneurs. They began with one fuel station and built it into Rural Fuel, a fuel delivery business for the agri-sector. While involved in this business, they became aware of the fuel shrinkage problem. In response, they developed a way of keeping track of fuel levels remotely and reporting back to fuel owners via a simple dashboard. This technology has now found applications in the dairy industry. CEO Ray Connor explains.
Levno quite simply is a remote monitoring device that allows farmers to see exactly what's happening on farm at any given point in time without really needing to be there. At the moment, MPI are working through a process of putting in place new regulations, essentially milk cooling regs, which require milk to be chilled or cooled within a certain time window of milking. So there's a lot of focus in this area on trying to find solutions for that problem. Essentially, this is us. We try and keep it pretty simple. The basic idea behind our system is that we've got a transceiver on farm. That transceiver talks to a couple of sensors, a raft of different sensors, and then based on what each of those sensors are telling the transceiver, that's then communicated via a SIM card to our Levno architecture, and then that's sort of sent back to the farmer in a really simple, intuitive dashboard. The base technology works on a cell network, so where the range isn't quite good, we can extend that out and we can ensure that it is. Inside that green dome, sits a pretty impressive module that allows us to calculate the difference in volume between the top of the dome and the top of the milk. Then we're able to calculate based on that equation how much milk's sitting in your milk vat. There are probably 4 ways of measuring volume in a vat. You can either look at a load cell, which is essentially putting a set of scales under a tank, but that's pretty costly. You've got to do it when you put the vat in place. The second is usually embedding, putting some form of sensor, some pressure sensor inside the milk. Now, you don't want to do that. You don't want to touch the milk. Whatever solution you come up with, you need to make sure absolutely you don't touch the milk. Third is probably looking at lasers. So not too dissimilar to your laser level from the hardware store, but obviously laser has heat. So the last thing you want to do is shoot heat into captive vat, and obviously there's product quality issues. So the solution that we went for, a bit of light over radar, we get the volumes and the value out without touching, without damaging, without degrading the milk. So you can be absolutely assured, that your product quality is there. In terms of the retrofitting of this hardware to the existing vats, it's quite simply unscrew the existing breather on the vent, screw ours on, that's your installation. What we've got here is the farmer's dashboard, showing it here on a laptop, but equally you can see it on your own smartphone, iPad, tablet, whatever device you've got, we can show you all of your on-farm data. We're big on data security, so we're never going to show an existing farmer's actual data. We protect the footage. But here what we're able to see essentially across 4 metrics is the tank volume, vat temperature, what's actually happening in your plate cooler in terms of the plant, and your agitator, whether or not your stir is working. From that, we can drill down into what we call our alerts function. Let's say we want to know, for example, if the milk is too warm under the new regs, click that button quite simply. Send me an alert by email, or actually send me one by text message, hit save, and that's as simple as the alert set. So in terms of the incoming MPI regs, what we're doing with a vat temperature is we're able to overlay how your temperature's sitting within your milk window. So in this graph here, the yellow area is obviously the new target rules. At this level, the farmer, share milker, contractor can see exactly what's happening, get the specific alerts and know right down to the degree what's happening in the vat. A level above that, outside of that farm, you really don't need to see that data. You have to protect the security of that data. So what we've got at that level, probably more towards the group or even the logistics pieces, we're able to use this base information to assist logistics companies with pickup planning, to assist the group as a whole with the shared learning.
Yeah, obviously we've installed these couple of units here on the fuel tank. We've also got one on your milk vats, which will be over here obviously, and up the top there being volume.
I've been watching what Levno have been doing for a couple of years, but didn't take it on until about 6 months ago. Our family business has grown quite a lot recently. Our main business is asparagus farming, but we've got 2 dairy farms as well, which I no longer run day to day. So there became a need for me to see what the farms are up to and make sure I didn't have milk cooking and things like that. which is when the Levno system was going to provide the most value to me.
Yeah, so obviously this is your fuel sensor on the petrol side, on the diesel side and the petrol side.
We've got across milk and fuel here at the moment. Initially just the milk, and we've more recently added the fuel to it as well, since I've seen the value in having the milk monitored to us. I mean, you can see some wires sticking out of the wall there. We were about to put a camera on the fuel, but I've still got to watch the playback to actually know what's going on. It's got me out of jail once, so we had a problem where a staff member actually left the refrigeration unit off one weekend with relief staff, and it alerted me to that early enough that we could get that milk chilled and had no problems with sending that to Fonterra. So that's been the way of getting my investment back straight away, I guess. But then day to day it tells me if my pre-cooling's working properly or not. Funnily enough, if I drill into it and see when the milk starts going into the vat, it tells me when my staff are starting milking, so I can monitor those types of things as well. And it also tells me the temperature of my wash and things like that. So we've had a few grading issues on the other farm, and I was able to dig in and go back into the history to see how hot my hot water was, and then I could basically rule out that there was nothing wrong with the hot water side of things, and we investigated the real issue to what was going on.
I think the future for us is certainly, look, it's broader than the agri sector in New Zealand. I mean, if you think about what we can do, it's offer visibility of your liquid assets in a form to a remote user to manage.
How it works is this slides over top of the concrete trough, and this side goes inside the trough, and then we clamp it to the trough like this. And this here will have a sensing probe down it, and this will give you the volume, so when it's empty or overflowing. That's a key thing.
We've recently had a pretty successful field day show, and that was great to have a chat to farmers. We got hundreds of interested customers, but probably more importantly with that was that we got probably another 40 or 50 different ideas that came from it in terms of where we could apply our technology. So I think what makes us a little bit unique and a little bit different is that we're not limited or constrained by convention. For us, it's more about seeing where we can put our product in such a way that'll add value.
This program was made with funding from New Zealand On Air.